Hey everyone, welcome to the Teach Yourself podcast here with Corey Carter. Excited for this interview today. Get to meet him for the first time. Just a little bit about him. He's the host of the Rapid Rants podcast, which just had 9 million views on one of its episodes across platforms. So he's got some good things to share. We're excited to have you on the show today, Corey.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell me a little bit more about your title there, Karikter.
It honestly, I made music for like 1 year. It was introduced to me, long story short, or whatever. And while I was making music, I went by Character. But that's when I started building my Instagram, and then when I originally launched my original podcast with the where I interviewed people, everyone that I was interviewing knew me as Character. No one knew me as Corey. So I just had to run with it, and now this is where we're at. Like I just stick with Character.
Gotcha. Oh, that's cool. I like it. I was looking at some of your posts on there, some of your interviews. And it's just kind of cool how you had it labeled on there, like, interviewing this character or whatever. I liked how you were able to
For sure.
send that. What kind of music did you make?
It was mostly rap. I can't sing to save my life, so. But it was honestly like I never ever made music to make money or to get famous or anything. It was entirely for me. I put it on SoundCloud. I listened to it in my car. No one else listened to it. But it was therapeutic at the time. I was just getting out of a really terrible relationship, so like that helped me heal in so many different ways. And then it also was like the most fun thing I've ever done.
Oh, that's awesome. Do people even use SoundCloud anymore? I remember hearing like everybody was on it, 5, 10 years ago, but I haven't heard
For
about it
sure.
for
Like
a
like
while.
2010s, you could be a SoundCloud rapper and blow up, but no, you can't. SoundCloud is
Yeah,
really like that's where you put the music you don't have license to, or if you use somebody's beat
mhm.
that you don't have license to or something like that. But no one's gonna blow
Gotcha.
up off of SoundCloud.
Well, I think it was a cool time. I remember I think I had a couple high school friends that were on it and using it, or trying to grow their rap. I don't think they ever got them anywhere, but
Yeah,
I
well,
think
that
I
happens.
think it's a cool platform
For
either way.
sure.
So just kind of tell me a little bit more about yourself, Corey. What's your background? What's your story? How'd you kind of get to where you are today?
That's a long story. I'm 35 years old. Actually, no, I'm 36 years old. That happened. When I graduated high school, I went to film school. I went to Full Sail University. I got a degree in film production. But at the same time, I met the girl who was going to become my wife and now ex-wife. Um, and that I was with her in Orlando for 10 years, and then we moved where I'm at now in Alabama. We've been here for 5 years, but that relationship was terrible. She had severe psychological disorders. She would hit me and call me. It was really 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 bad for a long time. Um, but in that time, I was in and out of the film industry because it was hard to hold down a job because of my personal situation. I worked in reality TV for 3 years. I did some softball contests, like video and photo for that. Independent film, miscellaneous jobs here and there. But I was never really consistent. And then when I got away from her, COVID hit and the whole world changed. And also, like, I have my daughter who's 18. She just graduated high school, but uh, I had to find my way, a new way for me to be. At the time, I was working at a little knife shop doing graphics for him, but it wasn't a career. That's when I found music, and the music led me to the interviews. And then in those 15 years I was with her, I wasn't allowed on the internet. I wasn't allowed to have social media. I wasn't. And so when I got away from her and I got on Instagram and I got on Facebook and TikTok, I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. I didn't even know how to like scroll through it. I'm like 30 years old and I'm acting like an 80-year-old looking at this phone. Um, but over time, like I started to like read the internet, and I think that's where I have the advantage because I didn't see it as a user. I never saw social media as just a someone who scrolls. That's all I was doing. So I since I got on social media, I've been kind of like looking at how things happen, and especially with my video experience, I watched how people did the videos that they do and everything. So that's where I started building with the interviews, and the reason why I started the new podcast is because I did about 600 interviews in a year. It
Dang,
was it was crazy. It was like when I first started, the first 4 months, I was doing like 3 or 4 a day. It
that's
was
crazy.
unreasonable. It was too much. I shouldn't have done that much. But I made a lot of progress. But what I realized is no one's really going to care about me until I talk about things they care about. You have to make it valuetainment. That's the name of the game now. Like, even if it's just talking about interesting topics, that's there's value to them. They'll hear more about what they're interested in. So my plan here is to use this podcast to kind of like build my name up so that my interviews matter more for my interviewees, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I think you're on the right path right now. I mean, you got about 15,000 followers on there.
Yep.
Some people that takes years and years and years
I
to
appreciate it,
to
man.
develop. And I mean, you had that episode that went viral across platforms, and usually once you get one, you're on the right track, and you just keep getting them. What
We're
was
hoping so.
what was that podcast about, that episode that went
Well,
viral?
okay. So the Rapid Rants, what we do is we have four topics. They're generally trending topics that we talk about in the beginning of the episode, and then the last part of the episode is each host asks a question of the week, and it's usually like a brain teaser question, conversation starting kind of question. Uh, but that particular post, that topic was about a new zodiac sign that changes
Okay.
like everyone's zodiac dates and everything. And it's so funny because I don't give a damn about zodiac signs. They mean nothing to me. I'm not that kind of guy. Uh, but I mean, I'm telling you, like, if I turn my phone off of do not disturb right now, I'll have 20 comments of saying, "Oh no, I'm not an Aquarius. Oh hell no, I'm not. I can't be an Aries. I'm a Gemini." Blah blah. It's crazy. There's like I don't know 15,000 comments on it, and there's 250,000 shares, and I mean here we are just ignorant to the zodiac signs. But hey, we were talking about what people like talking about, man. That's what it's about.
It's crazy. It's crazy what like soft controversy can
Yes,
do right now on
that's a
social
good.
media.
Oh man, that's a good word for it. I like that.
Because it's like you're not trying to like start any fights or hurt anybody's feelings. Just like, hey, like this, and then everybody's got an opinion about it, and
Yep,
like, and then I mean, just because of we're kind of a controversial society today, so if you slide that in there, just like super subtly, like everybody like takes it full blown. You got a riot on your hands. It's kind of
absolutely,
fun.
man. Absolutely. Like there's a bunch of people in the comments saying, oh, this gets brought up like every year and then everybody just forgets about it. And man, all I'm thinking is like, damn, I'm really glad we were the ones that brought it up. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I've been on kind of the online digital marketing space for about 2 years now, and so I've done kind of everything you can imagine in it. And so you hear it a lot. It's just like, now I'm losing the words, but well, yeah, bad publicity is good publicity
oh,
as long as
absolutely.
your name is
Absolutely.
getting out there, because it'll get out there amongst people you don't want it to, but it's eventually going to trickle down
Yeah,
to where you do want it. So that's a super cool thing.
for sure.
And what kind of got you to start into this new podcast, Rapid Rants, and the people that you chose to host it with?
Well, okay, so I had interviewed, like I said, 600 people. So I when I decided I wanted three co-hosts, I just started running through all 600 people that because I connected with them. Like I consider all of those people friends to a certain degree. Like we had real conversation about like their background and their past. They talked about me about things they'd never talked about like publicly before. So, um, but I wanted a variety. Like I wanted two guys, two girls, and different nationalities. I didn't really have them in mind like those were going to be, but I didn't want four white guys on the screen, man. Like there's enough white guys together on the screen. Like if we're going to be talking about these things, I want different perspectives and cultures. So I got Blaze Hunter, who we've been working together closely since I interviewed him. I don't know, probably a year ago, and he has a Signature Series network. He's a musician, but he's also a promo guy. Like he does everything for artists. He has a whole series on YouTube that's built around promoting artists, whatever. But I have him. I have Leslie Hungria, who I interviewed her with her boyfriend. It was like a couples interview. It was me and my lady, and then her and her boyfriend and husband now. But she's like a real she's the youngest of us, so she kind of represents like the reasonable Gen Z perspective. She's like 28, so I don't even know if she's actually Gen Z, but she has that younger perspective and that she knows how to be PC much better than we do. And then I have Kushana, who she is a South Korean who was raised in Germany and she now like flies. Her job brings her all over Europe or whatever. So she's mainly in Germany, but like she'll get on and be like, "Yep, oh, I'm in England right now. I'm and next week I'm going." It's crazy, man. Like,
That's super cool. I love I love just the idea of diversity in the way that you can collaborate and work together. I mean, the same way I got you on here, I had that thread that blew up, which is like just like offhanded. I just put that up that evening, and then like the next day went crazy.
really?
Yeah, I've scheduled like I'm still like people are still responding to it, but I've probably scheduled like 30 interviews just off of
No
that thread.
shit. That's the
Yeah,
first
so
time
like
I've
you,
ever heard threads being useful, man. Like,
yeah, you're one of the first people that commented on it, but like it just kept growing. It has like almost 30,000 views on it or whatever. I was like, holy cow! And like I haven't gotten one since. I've been just kind of like throwing random stuff out there again,
that's
just to
crazy.
see.
That's crazy. I don't even know how. I never go on threads. I think I opened it up off another link, and then you just popped up. Like I wasn't following. I don't even know how I saw yours, but that's wild, man.
Yeah, I haven't really been using it because it came out like a year ago, and I kind of got on there. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, kind of feeling around. I've never really used Twitter, so I was like, oh, maybe I'll get into this. Lasted about a week, and then I'll like get on it like periodically, just kind of look at it. And I got on it this week, and I just saw that like there's a lot of people kind of active on it, and so like on Tuesday, I just kind of like it's like, yeah, well, let's just try using this a little bit more. And then I posted that on Wednesday night, and then Thursday, I spent like 4 to 6 hours on Thursday responding to like DMs like, hey, I want to be on your podcast. Hey, I want
That's
to be on your
wild, bro, man.
podcast. I
Congratulations.
was
That's
like,
exciting.
it was exciting. I was like, oh man, this is the best day ever. And then I was like getting into, I was like, I probably need to be a little more selective in my choices here. I'm gonna have a
You
full
do.
schedule.
Straight
I'm
up,
like,
bro. Like take it from the
dang.
guy who did too many interviews. Like there are definitely interviews that I would like. I wish I just didn't do. You know, I mean, I, I'll tell you one thing. How old are you?
I'm 22,
Okay,
pretty
all right.
young.
You're. I'm impressed by 22, but like I interviewed some independent artists that like were like 16 years old, 18 years old, and
Dang.
are like they just don't have much to tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they haven't lived, so they don't make great podcast guests. You know, it's like you get like yes and no answers, and in 12 minutes you're like, oh, I got nothing else for you, man.
Like shoot. Yeah. I mean, I've tried to do like a half decent job, but then I was just like, I haven't said really no to anybody. I was like, maybe I need to be more
Like,
selective, or maybe I'm just getting the right people. But it was cool to do that. Where was I going with that thought? Um, oh yeah, this the kind of the diversity. Because I was talking to somebody because she said she had some interest in it, and we started talking, and she went back and like listened to it. She's like, well, after listening to it, I don't know that I'd really like fit like your whole deal. And granted, I only have like 35 episodes up, but she's like, I like you have like a Christian undertone, like you kind of bring up like scripture and stuff, and like that's part of who I am and whatnot. And she's like, and like you've only interviewed males. I have like 3 interviews that I've actually done so far. The rest of it's just me. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna fight you on this, but I'm just thinking of like all the people that I've like scheduled out. I'm like, I have people from a couple different countries, so many different backgrounds, so many different professions. I'm just like, I want to make this diverse. That's what I'm trying to do. Like, this is a beginning. This podcast is just starting. You can't tell me that it's not a fit for you. And I'm not saying it wasn't for her. So I mean, I didn't try to like convince her otherwise. But I was like, well, check back in a couple months. Hopefully it's a little bit more
what
of that.
I mean, what harm could it do her? Like that's
Yeah.
silly, bro. That's silly.
But I posted another thread this morning, um, just saying like, I'd love to make like a big old group chat of people with kind of an entrepreneurial mindset that are actively practicing whatever kind of spirituality it is, whether they identify with their religion or something outside of it. But there's just so much, so many similarities and so much to learn from the differences. I myself am Christian, and I'm very converted to my faith, but having a lot of converted people from so many different backgrounds to whatever it is, I think, then having that open discussion, I think that could be so constructive and so valuable.
Absolutely, man. I actually tried to make that happen one time. I tried to find like the 4 or 5 most religious people that I knew in different religions and try to get them together, but it never. I can never get it scheduled. I think mostly because they were across the world, so time
Yeah,
zones are a pain.
there's some tricks to it for sure. I was looking on your Instagram, and it says you're followed by Simon Squibb. Do you know who that is?
I do, bro. I do. I talked to
Tell
him some.
me, tell me about that.
It's wild, bro. He when he first started like posting, and it wasn't even when he first started. I caught him when he was, I don't know, at like 100K, a couple 100K followers, or whatever. And
Yeah,
I just started. Here's a huge tip for growing in social media: comment, comment, and don't just not emojis, not real insightful comments related to that reel. I connected with Gary Vee like that. I connected with Simon Squibb like that. Just by being consistent and commenting thoughtful comments on their posts, it got their attention. And then I messaged Simon Squibb, and like, mind blown, he messages me back. And I'm like, what's happening right now? And bro, the heartbreaking part about it is I got him to agree to let me interview him. And then he gives me his like PR person's email, and I email her, and she's like, "Yeah, we'll get you set up. What's the availability?" And I send her like, I'm like, my availability. You tell me the time. If it's 3 a.m. right where I am, I'm game. I'm doing it. And by the time I emailed her back with the availability, she had left the company.
dang.
And that was like, it took like a month for those few emails to be sent. By that time, Simon Squibb had gotten so big that he didn't see my messages, and I could never get it set up or whatever. But
You know what we're gonna do? This is what we're gonna do. My clip, because I like to take from my podcast. Usually, I'll post like a clip or something. We're gonna take this clip right here, and we're gonna get you back in front of Simon Squibb. We're gonna just
hell
start
yeah.
screaming at him, be like, "Hey, you said yes to an interview with this guy.
My dream is to
Time to pay
interview
up."
you. That's all I need. No, but it's cool, man. Like I got, I would say the other two like biggest people that I interviewed were a guy named oh my god, Inside True Crime, Matt. This is gonna drive me crazy. First, Demiza. Do you know who Demiza is?
I don't.
All right, Damien Demiza Young, like he started the biggest LA radio show in the 90s. He put Eminem on, he put Dr. Dre. He squashed beefs with Snoop Dogg and Ja Rule. He was best friends with Nate Dogg. Like, this guy's career is crazy, and he's blowing up on social media now. And I got an interview with him the same way. He put up a post that he was like, I wake up in the morning, I just look for ways to help people. So I put a comment. I was like, "You want to help me, bro? Let me do an interview." And he was like, "Okay." Matthew Cox is the other guy, and he's like the Wolf of Wall Street of mortgage fraud. This guy was on the,
Okay.
the top 10 most wanted list for like 5 years when he was running from the cops before he got arrested and went to jail. And then he wrote the memoir about the guy that the movie War Dogs is about. He wrote his official memoir. Like, that guy had a crazy old life and everything. But those were the two biggest ones, and I really got them from commenting and sending a respectful message.
That's cool. I've heard that a lot, and being on there, being repetitive, and like sharing that value. Um, I think that's kind of what's cool about the Threads app right now. It's like straight comments, like that's the whole deal. And
Sure.
so I think it's fun because you can go on there and there's all these big creators, big influencers, whatever, doing those things. And if you get on there quick enough, you can type in something, and everybody that clicks on that one, they see you.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a powerful thing. So anybody that's trying to grow their social media, that's listening to this right now, apply that. Me as well. Just getting in there, valuable comments and valuable interactions. I think that's
100%.
the biggest thing. And growing that network really is what you're doing at the same time.
Sure.
Very cool. So coming back to your podcast, you're wanting to connect with the people that you're listening. What's kind of your approach to that as you guys are selecting different topics and things to talk about?
Well, okay, so doom scrolling has become work for me now, and it's a problem because like sometimes I really don't want to just scroll into the damn reels, but like It pretty much we air every Friday at 3 p.m. EST. So from 4 p.m. EST to that Thursday, every time I find a reel that, or any of us, any of the hosts or my ladies finds a reel that we could talk about, we send it to this group chat on WhatsApp that we have or whatever. So it's like we have these topics, potential topics just laid up, and then sometimes if I feel like I'm sending too much, I'll just save it and have it for later to reference or whatever. But it's tough. I think that's probably been the most difficult part of this is each topic that we do, we have an 8-minute timer that we talk about it. So like when I'm thinking about a topic, I have to think like, do I have 8 minutes to talk about this one topic? Like we have 4 people, so we have 4 people's opinions. Can each one of us talk for 2 minutes about it? And that's a delicate balance. That's a delicate process to like work that out. And I haven't really figured it out yet. I think we're getting better at it. But even yesterday when we were on air, there was one topic that I like, man, we're 2 minutes into talking about it. I'm like, this is not an 8-minute topic. This is like we're gonna have to stretch this one out. Like,
That's cool. And what for, I guess for you in that selection process, how do you choose the things that are catching your eye, or what's kind of your way of looking
well,
at them?
the term you use, soft controversy. I didn't have that term before this interview, but that's really what I'm looking for. You put a word to it, but eh, soft controversy. Like one of the topics, this last one was iPhones versus Androids. That's something everybody got an opinion on, something we could all talk about. But again, I like the diversity aspect of the show, but I can't get diversity with everything. We were all Android people, like we all think that Android, so it wasn't that great of a moment. So I really I think that what I look for is anything that and people can feel very strongly in one way about it or another. And if you can mix in a few other ways about it too, that's best. But and also we need to make sure that we have someone representing some other aspect of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So you kind of find those things that not necessarily like big deal items, but they're opinion. Like people have an opinion. It's like and
Yeah,
it's important to them.
exactly.
So that's
Fun to
cool.
talk about.
That's cool. That's fun to talk about. Apple and iPhone, or Apple and Android. I'm an Apple guy myself, and I always find those ones fun because I
For sure.
had an iPhone, went to an Android, came back to an iPhone, and so people like, you can't say anything. You have an iPhone. I'm like, well, I think I have a pretty valid opinion. I had one for for a good number of years.
I tried converting. I'm back to the iPhone.
That's cool. And where do you want to see this podcast go? Like, what's your way beyond dream and
I want
just hopes for it?
when people are scrolling through their For You page or whatever app you're on, there's some podcasts that I watch, like the You Should Know podcast, Joe Rogan, this and that. Like, I, I'm not saying I want to be as famous as Joe Rogan, but I want to have the recognizability to where if people are scrolling and they see us and they see our show, they know it's going to be a good conversation. They know they have a minute of entertainment right there. Hey, I just, like that. Do you know the You Should Know podcast?
I feel like I've heard of it, but I
I'm sure you
don't.
had to have seen it. It's like this
I'm
guy
sure I've
Cameron
seen
and
it.
Peyton. I don't know. They just sit and they just give each other shit the entire episode. Like Peyton will say something outrageous, and Cameron be like, "What are you talking about?" It's just they're not talking about anything, but it's fun to watch, And when I'm scrolling through, I'll watch their stuff because no matter how ridiculous what they're talking about is, no matter how much I don't care about what they're talking about is, I know they're funny and they're entertaining. And if nothing else, I'm gonna laugh before this reel is over. So and I want that recognizability for this show.
I love that. I love that. I think just especially in the era of social media use that we're in, like there is so much content out there, and there's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad, but I think being able to produce a little bit more on that positive side, where like you say, it's able to brighten someone's day a little bit more. Just with everybody's struggling right now, everybody's going
Yep.
through something hard, and everyone's in a little bit of a dark spot. Maybe not all the time, but probably a couple times a month they're
Sure.
feeling pretty down somewhere. And I think we have to recognize that we have that power to use social media as a tool. And I think that's super cool how you were mentioning earlier, you came into it and you get to see it from just the tool aspect you just see it as that I'm just using this to do, fulfill my dreams and help other people fulfill theirs
Yeah.
versus, just the doom scroll all the
And
time.
hopefully make some damn money off this stuff, man.
Right.
There's so much money being made off social media. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. The information industry, like the digital information industry and just kind of like online internet marketing in itself. I don't know how expansive or how restricted this is, but they're saying it's like a $3 billion a day industry. And, over the next
Like
couple of
that's
years, it's
what they're
just,
paying out. Like that's what their creators are making.
yeah, well, not like the companies, but that's just like being produced by like all the companies selling information
That's wild,
products,
man.
all the different things. Like that's just the money being transacted a day. And I think I made a post about it the other day in my caption. I was talking about, it's like, if you get in on this and you're making 1% of that money a year, that's $30 million.
Yep.
So if you make like a thousandth of that, 300K
Yeah.
in a year, like you're living comfortably, like you're
Hell
doing
yeah.
well. So like you got to try it.
Yeah.
Might as well like
Yeah.
get in there, learn a skill and figure it out and do something.
One of the guys I know that has a podcast is making 10K a month just from YouTube. That's not TikTok. That's not Instagram. That's not Facebook. Just YouTube. $10,000 a month. Yes,
Yeah.
please. Yes, that's what I'm trying to get to. That's where I want to be. Like,
YouTube is so powerful. There's a book that I've kind of been studying into. It's called the YouTube Formula, and it's written by probably one of the more foremost authorities on just the YouTube algorithm. And he's
I
been in
gotta
it.
get that.
Yeah, he's been in it since like it started. And so he's like he's the guy that like Mr. Beast will go and talk to, and like
Oh
they'll
shit.
talk about like algorithm and analytics and bounce ideas off each other. Like how can we make this better? And yeah, so he breaks it down and he talks about like you don't even need that many viewers to be making 10 20K a month off of YouTube. Like
Really?
you need like if you can have like 100, like every video getting like 100,000 views,
Sure.
like you can be set.
I mean,
Like
that's
you
a
have
lot
to
of
be
viewers,
making
though. That's
yeah.
a lot of viewers.
It is.
100K on YouTube is a milestone. That's
Yeah. But if you can make that good content on there, and he talks about how like it takes time to build, but if you can do that, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's just
But also you keep going. Once you hit that, the algorithm does let you
keep
just
going.
keep on going.
And you grow and you grow and you grow. And that's what's so cool about it, just what you can do across, well, just social media in general, what you can do organically. Like that video that just, blew up.
Yep.
It's like if you were paying for those views, like through, one of those social media platforms, their ads, it's like that's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But
for sure. For sure. And you don't know the usefulness of that money because they just forced people to watch it. They were not putting it in front of people that actually wanted to watch it. It's another thing that I stopped using for a long time when I was doing the interviews. I would send it to group chats. I would do these engagement group chats. Have you heard of these? You know about these?
I've never heard like specifically, but like I know in the communities that I've been a part of, there's a lot of people that'll do it. They're like, hey, when I post, like I'm gonna let you know, and you guys do the same, and it throttles your engagement. It just ruins it.
It truly does. Like, and I'm not exaggerating. Like, I got to be part of 50 to 70 engagement group chats on the Karikter account. It's made it so like my messages won't even open up anymore. It can't load everything that gets sent. And what I realized, like when I started Rapid Rants, I told all the hosts, were no group chats. Don't ever send this, not one post to a group chat, because when you want engagement, you need people to go to the comments and see that other people are actually engaging. So when you send it to group chats, you're going to get 100 fire emojis. Fire emojis kill your post because people are going to go to the comments. It looks like you either botted it or no one actually cares and they're just doing you a favor by leaving you a quick little fire emoji. It's no good. It's the worst thing you can do for your posts.
Yeah. I was doing some small ticket drop shipping. It's like all that little stuff you see on TikTok for a little bit. And I was in this like big mentorship group, and then you get all these like new people in there and they're like, hey, let's make a group. And like, whenever you post, like send it in here. We'll like get engagement. And I think I sent like one, and like as soon as I sent the one, I was like, I've screwed up. Like I like immediately noticed. I was like, this thing tanked
Yep.
so hard. And
Yep.
like TikTok, I saw something like TikTok like recognized that I'd shared it and like where they were all coming from. And I was
Oh
like,
man.
oh boy, this one's screwed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it
So
seems like it should help, but it doesn't. It really, really doesn't.
yeah. And I think, yeah, that's, I mean, that's just powerful about what you're doing is making just that powerful, entertaining video that drives that genuine engagement. And that's
Exactly.
the most powerful tool on any kind of social media right now.
Yeah. Facts.
I have a big mentor that does social media marketing, and um, so he kind of runs like a lifestyle account, and then every couple of posts he'll throw in like whatever his business thing is. But this guy, he has like 500,000 followers, so he's got a pretty big account that he's built up. But he reaches, you know, like 40 million people a month, and then every video is getting like millions
Oh
of
God, that's so much money.
engagement points,
There's so much
on
money.
comments and saves and stuff. And I'm just like, dude. And he just posts like the randomest things. They're hilarious. Like he has like a 3 to 5 second reel and then like a singular caption. Like he doesn't do any like extra clips.
Wow.
The text
Wow.
doesn't even change.
Oh,
And it's
see,
just
it's guys like that that make me feel like I'm doing too much, bro. I'm trying too hard. I need to simplify what I'm doing. Like,
yeah. I think earlier this year, like a few months back, he doesn't even talk in his posts anymore. Like he just does the text and he's like, yeah, I just want to like practice my copywriting and getting better at it. And his engagement like skyrocketed. And I mean, obviously it's different person to person, but I'm just like, dude, how can I replicate that? That is so good, so powerful. So
yeah,
I'm
no,
glad to
absolutely.
see somebody else driving
Well,
that in
actually,
a
hold on.
similar
Let me
way.
let me share one huge benefit that I've gotten from my social media hustle that is really exciting. I got a message on TikTok one day, and this is what before I started Rapper Rants when I was just doing the interviews, and it's from this Dentistry in Motion LLC page. I'm like, okay, what's, and she met us, and she's like, hey, I see your interviews. I absolutely love what you do. You seem like such a great person, but your smile, like I can tell that you have a lot of dental problems, and your smile, like, would you like to do a little collab? And I'm like, yes. Like I'm telling you, like my front tooth was missing. I had this fake tooth and it like protruded. It looked awful. Like if you go back and look at my old interviews, I can't believe I was all over the internet looking like this, bro. Like I was in denial, just straight denial. But she hits me up, and we work out a deal. I give her some promo and stuff, and she fixed my teeth. Bro. Like my teeth are
There you
perfect.
go.
Like this was what she did for me, Dr. Bold's Dentistry in Motion LLC. What they did for me was it's life changing. It literally changed everything. I can eat what I want to eat now. I can smile without covering my mouth. I can, when I'm doing interviews and when I'm on the show now, like every time I would laugh before, I would be like, but now I don't have to do that. So, and it's cool because she's holding a contest right now for content creators to be her next smile makeover or whatever. But that's definitely the biggest bonus that I've gotten from my social media hustle.
That's super cool. That's super cool. And I think that's a big part of what you can do right now, um, is building something that is not only for you and for your viewers, but that other big companies, brands, anything like that. They're like, hey, like this guy is connecting with the people that we're trying to connect with,
Yep.
and he can connect with them so much better than we ever going to be able
Yep.
to. So they reach out to you and they're like, hey, like let's do this. Like you game. And that same guy, he does a lot of those. I'm not exactly sure who he works with and whatnot, but I know he does that pretty frequently as well.
That's awesome.
So
That's what it's about, man.
so that's what I'm trying to build up right now. I'm about to graduate school right now. I'll have a degree in construction management, and then hopes to go to law school to work in that industry. But I'm just like,
Huh.
I got to pay for law school. I want to build a life right now. Like lawyers can make a pretty good amount of money, but no one makes a lot of money on the start, on the get-go.
Nope.
And
Nope.
then I want to start my own thing. So learning all these skills, doing all these things, learning how to network and grow that audience, I think people are like, why are you doing this? Like, this is like not related at all to what you want to do. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is
Yes,
everything
it
with what I
is.
want to do.
Yes, it is. Absolutely, man. I don't care what business you're in right now. Social media is a huge part of it. It's you have to be present on it. I mean, if you're a dentist or selling cars or building houses, or if you want to make the most money, if you want to be as successful as possible and have everyone come to you, get online famous.
Yeah. I think the worst disconnect right now, though, is that people feel like, you can't be on social media and then be like doing something somewhere else. Like, you have to be like totally different. It's like, no, like they're the same thing.
Yeah,
You just like, you got to learn how to be yourself on here. And that was
exactly.
something I had to overcome. It was hard. It's like, oh, I'm doing this, but like, is that because I don't want to do this other thing, or is it, what is it? And it's really just how recently, probably the last couple of months, that I've kind of figured out. It's like, no, like I'm doing this not necessarily to do, all these little things in the long run, but I'm building something that's going to help me build everything else.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
super cool. Well, I try not to run these super long, Corey, but I think, this has been a great conversation. Are there any other kind of last thoughts or things you'd like to share?
No, man, I really enjoyed it. This has been a great talk.
Perfect. I kind of like to end usually just kind of asking people I interview if there's like, 1 to 3 things you could share with like that younger version of yourself, things that all these experiences have taught you, and like a simple format, what would those be? And you can take a little bit to think that over.
Well, it's funny because that's one of two ways that I end my interviews. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I do think about this a lot and everything, but it's difficult to answer those questions for me because I mean, what would I tell my 18-year-old self? Not Rachel, like not my ex-wife, like stay away from her. But ever all the horribleness that I went through, it's made me who I am, and I would not be nearly the person I am now if I hadn't been through it and everything. So, uh, really, find your true self is the most valuable thing I can say. Like I when I got away from her, I didn't know what I liked. Like I would just go play basketball. I was too old for that. I would try skateboarding. Can't learn how to skateboard. But I eventually just kept trying new things to find out like who am I? What do I want to do? What do I enjoy doing? And I found that. I found that, like I said, through music and then the podcasting, and I found what I want to do. And if you're not happy with where you're at, just try new things, even if you probably won't like them, because the more you try, the more likely it is you're going to find that thing that you want to do.
I think that's perfect. I think that's powerful. And the hopes in sharing all these is that they find the person, at the time that they need to hear that, because they're at that point where they need to pivot. So, well, awesome. Thanks for coming on here, Corey. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Love everything you're doing. We'll stay in touch. Well,
Yeah.
everybody else that's been listening, hope you enjoyed. And I guess last thing, Corey, where can my listeners find you if they want to kind of see what
Honestly,
you're
right now
doing?
I'm just going to promote Rapid Rants Podcast, all platforms. That's one word, Rapid Rants Podcast.
Perfect. Well, that's where you can find Corey. Everybody, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
I appreciate you, man.